All right, are you ready to dive into something really interesting?
Mm.
We're talking Seth Freakin Rollins,
Mm.
the heart of a champion, going up against big Bronson Reed, you know, a force of nature in that ring. Talk about a clash of styles.
Right. And this wasn't just some like random matchup.
Oh, no, not at all.
Both Rollins and Reed were gunning for that top spot, aiming for the championship in WWE. So the tension was there from the get-go, even before that bell rang. Adds a whole other level to it when you know what's on the line for them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, picturing it, packed house, Rollins music hits, the crowd goes absolutely nuts.
Mm.
But even with all that energy, you get to notice that size difference.
Yeah, it's like stark, right?
It's hard to miss. Yeah, it makes you wonder, how does Rollins adjust his strategy knowing he might not have that usual speed advantage? We're talking about a powerhouse here.
It's brains versus brawn, classic matchup. You've got Rollins relies on agility, outsmarting his opponents, then you've got Reed raw power. Gotta be fascinating to see those two strategies collide.
And I loved what our guest analyst picked up on, just a different energy from Rollins in those moments before the bell. That swagger was there. Oh, yeah, but there was something else, an urgency. Like
Right.
he knew of you. He couldn't win a straight up, brawl.
And you know what? He'd be right to think that.
Right.
Looking at their past matches, Reed's size, it's an advantage, no doubt, but it comes at a cost, less agility. And Rollins, he's strong, incredibly strong, but can't match that raw power. His best bet has got to be strategy, finding the openings, using Reed's size against him.
Yeah.
Clever.
And the bell rings, boom. First strike lands, crowd goes wild, but Reed, he barely flinches. It's that edge, that mental toughness that makes him so dangerous, right?
Right. It's like he's a brick wall. Resilience, that's his thing. He's not going to break under pressure. It's intimidating. But even with someone as imposing as Reed, there's always a weakness. The question is, can Rollins find it?
And it becomes this back and forth, Rollins' agility versus Reed's power, this high-speed chess match, only with a lot more,
Body slams.
Exactly.
And I think people underestimate how much strategy goes into those moves, They're not just random. Rollins, with his high-flying moves, it's calculated, keep out of Reed's grasp, tire him out, use that size against him. It's athleticism, yeah, but it's strategy too.
And you see it as the match goes on, right? It takes a toll.
Oh, yeah.
Not just physical.
It's a grind.
It's that mental endurance, that willpower.
For sure. Experience plays a huge part in that.
Oh, I bet.
Both Rollins, Reed, they're veterans, right? They know how to handle themselves in the ring.
Right.
How to pace, read their opponent, dig deep when they need to.
And they're both doing it, pushing past that exhaustion. Our guest analyst put it perfectly, sheer willpower. Like one wrong move and it's over.
And the crowd, don't forget the crowd.
Oh, they're right there with them.
On the edge of their seats.
Yeah.
Feeding into that energy adds a whole other layer.
It's like they're part of the story,
Totally. It's this conversation between the wrestlers and the audience.
Yeah.
This match, it's a perfect example of that connection, that energy.
So we're getting close now, that final showdown.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the moments that stood out in the source material?
Well, you've got that slam from Reed, right? Devastating.
Oof.
Could have been it for Rollins.
Right there.
But then he rallies, digs deep, pulls out those signature high-flying moves. That's what's so great about Rollins. He never gives up.
Never. Even against someone like Reed, someone who seems, almost superhuman.
That's the beauty of it, though, right?
It's incredible.
That underdog story, that fight against the odds. Everyone loves that.
And the crowd's loving it, cheering Rollins on. But you still don't know. It's like either one of them could win.
Yeah.
As we get to those last few moves, what did you pick up on? What might have tipped the scales?
Well, the source doesn't actually say who wins.
Oh, keeping us in suspense.
But it does talk about this moment with Rollins, this intensity, like he's driven,
Yeah.
giving it everything he's got.
Oh, I like that. Little mystery. It's like the journey's just as important, right?
Exactly. And that's what makes this match, and wrestling in general, so captivating. You've got the athleticism, yeah, but it's also a performance, It's those personalities, those storylines.
So we're not saying who wins,
Right.
but someone has to. What can we say about those final moments?
It really highlights their determination, both of them. The source talks about Rollins finding this burst of energy, this will to win. That in itself is kind of a victory,
That's a really good point. Even in defeat, you can still win.
Yeah,
It's about proving something to yourself.
absolutely. And that makes it more interesting, don't you think?
Oh, for sure.
It's not about it always being easy, predictable. It's about the struggle.
I love these deep dives. It's not just about what happened. It's about understanding why it matters.
It's a different way to look at it.
We're right there in the ring with them.
Exactly. You see the artistry, the dedication. It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
Before we get to the takeaways, anything else on this match? Anything that stuck with you?
What gets me is just how resilient people can be. You see these two guys, totally different, pushing themselves to their limits, makes you think, we all have that in us.
Oh, I like that. It's a metaphor for life.
Something like that.
Well said. Well said. Now, let's bring our listeners into this. Imagine you're in those boots,
Yeah.
feeling that energy from the crowd. And across from you, you're total opposite. Bigger, stronger, different style. What's your game plan?
Man, that's the question, isn't it?
Do you try to outsmart them? Be like Rollins? Or do you go strength for strength?
It's more than just the physical, though, right? It's mental, too. How do you approach that challenge?
Right, because we all face those moments. Life throws you a curveball. That's where it gets interesting. What do you do?
And that's what this match shows us, right? This resilience. Win or lose, they both showed that heart, that refusal to back down. And that's something we can all learn from, right? It's not just about wrestling.
Exactly. You hit it perfectly. It's like a metaphor,
Yeah.
that hero's journey we all go through. That's what makes this so interesting. It's not just a match. It's about something bigger.
We see it in sports all the time, these stories of perseverance. But it's everywhere, if you know what to look for.
So we've explored this clash, Rollins, Reed, but it's more than that. It's about that drive we all have, that ability to overcome.
You don't have to be a wrestler to have that, right? It's inside all of us.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. Next time things get tough, remember this match. Remember that heart, that strategy. Because that warrior spirit, it's in you too.
It is. Tap into it.
Expert speaker, fantastic deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
Till next time, everyone, keep exploring, keep those questions coming, and keep those warrior spirits burning bright.